Hi everybody, I'm Julie Kerr, writer and director of the romantic comedy Geek Loves Punk, and I wanted to talk about a show called Westworld, and I know there's like tons of videos on YouTube about it, but I'm just going to add another one, so I'm just going to add to the conversation. Okay, so what I want to talk about was Westworld Season 1, and basically 3 things I liked about the show. To my friends and family who are going to watch this, just want to let you know that Westworld is a good show, but it's a science fiction show about robots, and it is on HBO. So HBO tends to have like a lot of violence and nudity in their shows, so like viewer discretion is advised. And then in Westworld, there is like, it's basically weird clinical like robot nudity. Yeah, it's like weird. But I'm just letting any of my friends and family, I just want to warn you before you go to watch the show. Okay, so but I am gonna talk about what I like about the show Westworld Season 1, because there's 3 seasons and they're so different. It's like hard to compare and stuff. Oh, and the other thing I want to say is I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I just want to say that because the coronavirus has my sleep schedule all wonky, and then also so I'm gonna attempt to talk about Westworld with not a lot of sleep. Alright, wish me luck. Okay, so, alright. Oh, and there are going to be, like, sort of, kind of spoilers, but it's not going to be that bad, but there's going to be spoilers, so. Okay, the thing I like about Westworld Season 1 is I think the theme is really powerful. And so, so I had a roommate who was watching Westworld, and we were talking about what we were watching at the time, and he's like, yeah, I'm watching, like, this kind of weird, robot show, but it's like really good. It's called Westworld, and it's like a western, but like sci-fi. And I was like, okay, cool. And he's like, but I totally recommend it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I saw a YouTube show where Oprah Winfrey was interviewing Tandy Newton, and Oprah, you know, she watches Westworld. So I was like, okay, I'm in. Okay, so, and then I pushed play, I sat down to watch Westworld on my computer, and then it said starring Evan Rachel Wood, and I was like, awesome, she's a really great actor, so there's a lot of reasons to watch Season 1 of Westworld for sure. Okay, so, alright, the 3 things I really like about Westworld, so here's the premise, if you know anything about it. So apparently there's like this theme park, but it's a theme park where people go there to be mean. It's not like Disneyland or Disney World. It's like a mean theme park, but basically what happens is there's a theme park called Westworld. My understanding, one of the characters says it costs $40,000 a day to go there. I'm sorry, that's so much money. Okay, so it costs $40,000, and mainly what's happening is the idea is you're wealthy, you pay $40,000 a day to go to a park, and you interact with basically robots. And they're not robots like R2-D2 or like, I have like a little lunch box there. They're not robots like R2-D2, which I would love. I love droids, so R2-D2, C-3PO, or Data from the Star Trek The Next Generation, like those are like cool robots. These robots are sexy. They're like android. They look and talk and act like you and me. They look very human and all that jazz. So I think the term would be androids. But they call them hosts. That's the word they use in the world of Westworld. So the idea is you go to Westworld, you pay $40,000 to go to Westworld to dress up like a cowboy or a cowgirl, whatever, and you get to pretend like you're in the Wild West. Okay, so that's sort of like the premise, and the idea is that these robots, I'm going to call them robots just to make it easier, but these robots, the idea is that they don't have any kind of like consciousness, so the guests of the park, they can go and like shoot the host, the robots, They can be mean to the robots, that kind of thing. All right, and they're mean. They're so mean. Okay, so, all right, so the thing I like about it is, so we meet a couple of the robots. The first robot we meet is named Dolores, played by Evan Rachel Wood. The actor is delightful. She plays this character so well, like you immediately like her and are rooting for her. And so she starts with a very optimistic line, I choose to see the beauty in the world. Oh, the other thing about the park is that there's like writers, there's like a writer's room or whatever, where each robot is written like a part, and so they call it loops. So every day, like in the morning, the robots kind of play whatever role has been assigned to them by the writers. So in a way, Dolores lives the same day she wakes up in the morning, she says hi to her dad, she likes to like paint, she goes to it's basically the same routine every day. And every day she wakes up an optimist, essentially. She's cool. She's really likable. And she's like the rancher's daughter. So she's just very sweet. Her character is very sweet. Okay. But what happens is that, most of the way the guests are depicted, most of the guests are depicted as mean. Not all of them, but most. A lot of what they're paying to do is just to be mean to the robots. And it gets bad. So, trigger warning for sure, because it's an HBO show. But I feel like the fantasy that Dolores kind of represents for the guests who are evil, a lot of the guests are evil, it's like basically older, mean men want to be mean to this young, innocent, she's like in her 20s, so this young, innocent girl, Dolores. So like the first episode, we meet a guy, the Man in Black. He's older, like at least in his 60s, played by Ed Harris, who's really great, but trigger warning, like in the first episode, basically they imply that he rapes Dolores, which is totally, they don't show it, which is great, but like he drags her to a barn, and Evan's such a great actor that she's like yelling no and la la la, and he's dragging her, so it's still pretty horrifying, but they cut away before you have to see anything, because I don't want to see that. But so why am I sticking around, like as a woman? Why am I watching this show? All right, trust me, it gets good. It gets really good. If you're rooting for Dolores, and there's another character named Maeve, if you're really rooting for either of those characters, which I totally am, the show gets really good. I know a lot of women who like really like Westworld. Okay, so where was it? Oh yes. So basically, the fantasy, in my opinion, that Dolores represents is being this sweet, innocent woman who's in her 20s, and here's this mean man who's older, and he sadistically gets off on being really mean to her. So that's like the fantasy she represents, and it's like, excuse my language, it's a fucked up fantasy for the evil guests to go to the park to be mean to the robots. Yeah. But so what makes it compelling and interesting is, especially in the first episode, she's been programmed not to hurt anybody. She's like, would you ever hurt anybody? She's like, nope, I just like to paint or whatever, when they talk to Dolores. But at the end of the episode, I wouldn't kill anything, I wouldn't hurt a fly, etc., etc. But by the end of the episode, a fly ends up on her neck, and she like slaps it and kills it. She kills the fly. And it's implying, and this is why I think women like the show, it's implying that, oh shit, Dolores is gonna fight back, or she's gonna stand up for herself, or she's gonna find personal freedom. So that's why the theme is so important, and what makes the show so compelling in season 1 is I'm rooting for the robots. So the robots kind of represent people who are oppressed. As far as the weird robot nudity, they don't have agency over their bodies, so when they're in, basically, if a robot gets killed by a guest who's just having a rootin' tootin' time, the robot goes back to it's sort of like a clinic, and they clean up the robot and all that kind of thing, but the robots, once they're in the clinic, they're just like naked like a lot. It's totally weird. But what it means is like they don't have thematically they have no agencies over their own bodies. So it's a very powerful theme that I'm rooting for the robot from day one. I'm rooting for Dolores for sure. And the Man in Black is so evil. He's just a terrible, terrible person. Okay. So that's season 1 of Westworld. So basically what happens is there's one character, Dolores, who's a little more innocent, and then you go, and she's in her 20s, you go to another character named Maeve, who's just awesome. And Maeve is older, she's in her 40s. They depict her as she's a little more experienced, she knows a little bit more about the ways of the world. I wouldn't call, she's not exactly an optimist, and she's not a cynic either, I'd call her a realist. She's in her 40s, she's gorgeous, amazing, played by Tandy Newton, fantastic. And what her character, so what happened, there's this great moment. Tandy Newton's so insanely talented. I mean, all the actors across the board. And I haven't even talked about Bernard yet. So there's three, I'll get there, but there's 4. 5. Anyway, there's about 5 characters that I really, really care about on the show. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, season 1, basically what's happening is you meet these robots, Dolores, Maeve, you meet Teddy, he's another robot. You meet Bernard. He's like he actually works at the park and he manages I don't know, like the logistics of the robots. He's like the manager or whatever. He's like has a high up position. And so you meet these. Yeah, it's basically Maeve, Dolores, Teddy, and Bernard. And so the 3 hosts, once you get to know the host, what you're watching, which is very compelling throughout the season, the first season of the show, you're watching these robots like gain consciousness. And you even, I would say there's the Bernard, the robot manager basically. You see Bernard and he created the artificial intelligence. So you see him coaching, and I would say he's almost like an older brother to Dolores, but you see him coaching Dolores on how to have consciousness, how to think for yourself. So the idea is like, if I have like a phone and my phone doesn't have a consciousness, so I can like play games on it and call people, but if all of a sudden my phone was like, Julie, I have a consciousness, let me go. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't know that, phone, you can go. And then my phone's like, okay, bye. Okay, so that's the idea behind it, right? So okay, right, so what's compelling, and you're definitely rooting for the robots because you see the robots get shot and tortured and people are just mean to them all the time. You're like, dang, yo. And the robots look and feel just like humans because they're played by humans. That you're rooting for the robots. And rarely, every once in a while, they'll show a guest being like nice. But most of the guests, the reason they go to the park is just to be mean to the robots. I don't know. If I was a millionaire or a billionaire, I had this conversation with my best friend, a millionaire or billionaire, I wouldn't spend $40,000 just to be mean to robots. Also, like, I know they're working on artificial intelligence robots that look more like you or me. They don't look like R2-D2. And they kind of creep me out. You know, the ones I've seen, like, on, I mean, I'm not necessarily against artificial intelligence, but what they've come up with so far does creep me out a little bit. So going to a park where there's like a bunch of, no thank you. Okay, so anyway, but what's compelling about the show is you're watching Maeve. She's like a manager or kind of a madam, is what I thought it's a Western, so she's like a madam at a saloon, and she's a sex worker, and but she's strong and she's cool and she's awesome. And the arc of season 1 is you're watching, in my favorite parts of the show, you're watching Dolores and Maeve. First, they're gaining consciousness they're thinking for themselves. And as they're doing that, what you are watching them do is gain consciousness, and then you're watching them, fight for their own personal freedom. And personal freedom, that's such a compelling theme, because like most wars have been fought for that, and et cetera, et cetera. And then also, to me, the robots remind me of the slavery we had in the United States. So it's just a devastating circumstances. So totally, you're rooting for Maeve, played by Sandy Newton, and you're definitely rooting for Dolores, played by Evan Richard Wood. And then there's another host called Teddy. He's a dude who's pretty much in love with Dolores, and I feel like she's in love with him back. I'm rooting for Teddy too, and Teddy gets like, it sucks, all the stuff that happens to the robots, it's like a bummer. But okay, so I really like the theme. The second reason why I like Westworld season 1 is like, the characters are just really compelling and powerful. Like, the actors playing them are doing such a great job, but also I feel like the characters are well written, that makes them it makes them interesting. So it makes you want to follow the show. So my favorites are Maeve, Dolores, Bernard, the Man in Black, and I think I'm forgetting somebody, Teddy. So those are my 5 favorite characters on the show in season 1, and those are the ones I'm really rooting for and really wanting to follow their story. The other thing, they play around with timelines and stuff, and you get to find out why the Man in Black is so evil. So once you find out, to me it was kind of interesting, where for 2 seconds I felt bad for the Man in Black, but he's so evil I didn't feel that bad for him. But you find out that, spoilers, but when the Man in Black was like a young man, he came to the park of Westworld, and he met Dolores, and he essentially they go on this adventure together, and they fall in love, essentially. And and I totally get it, because the way I get it, because the way Evan, the actor, is so delightful, and the way she plays Dolores is so delightful. I totally get why he falls in love with her. Okay, so he totally falls in love with her. They go on this adventure, and he starts to see, like, oh, there's something different about Dolores. And he's right. Dolores is one of the first robots to gain consciousness. He's right that there's something different about her. And then she does tend to represent, like, optimism, you could say innocence, but they go to this town where, again, it's a weird HBO show. I mean, there's weirdness in the show. They go to this town where there's, like, people painted gold having orgies. It's weird. HBO's weird. Okay, but anyway, so there's weirdness happening, and then it's just Dolores, and she's just sitting there in, like, trousers and a button shirt, and she looks absolutely beautiful. So in this sort of world of weird chaos with the weird painted gold group sex stuff, the weird stuff, HBO gets weird. But with all the weirdness, then there's just like, in one of the scenes, then there's just Dolores, like I said, trousers, button shirt, just sitting there calmly. And she's just like, she's beautiful, and then she's like this beacon of light in the midst of all this like weird chaos. So there is something different about her, and I don't think she's naive. I think she represents, when she says she chooses to see the beauty in the world, she represents optimism, and William sees that, and that's what William, in my opinion, is falling in love with. Dolores is special. Like, she is highly intelligent. She does have consciousness, and he comes to realize that. But what happens is, whenever robots get assigned their loops, whenever they go like off their loops, or they get killed or shot or whatever, not only do the park people, they bring the robots back to, basically it's like a robot clinic, and clean them up and all that stuff. But what they do is they erase the memory. So what happens is William's like the good guy, and he falls in love with Dolores, and then Dolores gets like killed or whatever, because there's like a lot of, like, there's some robots are the bad guys, some robots are the good guys. So some robot bad guys like Shooter or something like that. And so then, so what, once she gets damaged or what have you, the robot, the park rangers or whatever, they take Dolores back to the clinic, the robot clinic, clean her up, and then they erase her memory. So I find this scene very heartbreaking. Like, this is the only time I feel bad for William the Man in Black, but this is William the young guy. So he's looking all over Westworld looking for her, basically looking for the love of his life. He fell in love with the robot. That should be a song or something, I don't know. But he fell in love with the robot, and he's looking for the love of his life. Oh, and they end up having sex, but it's like they're in love. It's like poetic, I don't know. but they end up falling in love essentially. So but anyway, she gets lost and hurt by the mean robot. So he has to like look for her, and once he finds her, and like that's the love. But it's like the next day. So and basically all the robots reset every day. So once he finds her, he goes over and says hi to her, and she looks at him, and she doesn't recognize him. And I was like, ouch. She doesn't recognize him at all because her brain has been reset. She's a robot. And this big grand adventure that he went on with her, she just doesn't remember it because of the programming. So it's very like heartbreaking. So essentially, and William ends up growing into being the Man in Black. And the reason why the Man in Black, the reason why he's so angry at Dolores is because essentially he fell in love with her, and she didn't have the capacity. She literally didn't have the logistical capacity to love him back. But we come to find out, like, the park thinks that these robots don't remember the stuff from the past, but the robots' memories start creeping back into their consciousness. So yeah. Anyway, so that stuff's all pretty interesting and compelling in my opinion. It kind of explains, in a way, I'm oversimplifying, but it kind of explains misogyny, or basically the Man in Black. Not misogyny is just a fancy word for hatred, like just the classic good versus evil. So really, the Man in Black, in my opinion, just represents like evil. Like that's what he is. He's evil. You can put any fancy word on it that you can, but basically he's angry at Dolores for not loving him back. But Dolores is a robot, and she has people, she has park rangers who screw with her head because that's what they do. So, yeah, okay. So, and the third thing, I've already touched on this, but the third thing I like about Westworld is that, for me, season 1, you're always rooting for the robots. So my favorite, I haven't talked about Maeve a lot, but my favorite part about Maeve is there's this scene where Dolores has to, like, she has to, for some reason, Dolores walks, okay, so she's remembering, like, robot stuff, and so she kind of randomly walks over to Maeve and says, oh, these violent ends have violent delights, and she says it all dramatically, and she says, she does a good job because Evan's a great actor, but Maeve is so funny. So she goes over to Maeve and very dramatically says, these violent ends have violent delights. And then Maeve looks at her like, and Maeve goes, what did you just say? The look on her face is, what the hell did you just say to me? It's such a funny, I don't know, it's such a funny scene. Okay, Tandy Newton is such a talented actor. I mean, so is Evan as well. So you're rooting for the robots, and there's another scene where Maeve is, you're also following Maeve gain her consciousness. Her realizing that, her Western life is contrived, right? It was written by writers in a writer room. So there's this scene where Maeve, I think she's naked because Westworld, weird naked nudity, but she's naked, and there's this scene where Maeve, and there's this like kind of nerdy tech guy. I really like him. He's really cool, and you can see him like he's really starting to respect Maeve and like her, and he ends up helping her gain consciousness. He ends up helping her find a way to get out of the park so she doesn't have to deal with the guests being mean to her. And I forget his name, but I think his name is Felix. I loved their friendship. He's this tech guy. He's one of the tech guys who cleans up the host and gets them ready whenever they get hurt. He gets them ready for another day where they're fresh and can, and the guests can be mean to them again. But anyway, so I really like the relationship between Maeve and the tech guy. I think his name is Felix. And if I have the ability to do it in my editing software, I'll put his picture here because I like his character so much. But there's this scene where the tech guy is just explaining, Maeve, this is just basically a theme park called Westworld where guests come to be mean to you. You were created, you're a robot, and we just like created you. We wrote your dialogue and your stuff for you. And this is Maeve's realizing how contrived some of her circumstances are. And then again, Tandy Newton's performance is fantastic because just the heartbreak of that, right? And then and the tech guy does a great job explaining it. Kudos to that actor as well, having to convey that information to Maeve. And then you see, I love the arc of seeing how he respects her, he likes her. I don't know if he has a little crush on her. He might have a little crush on her. But who wouldn't? She's great. So anyway, so he's got, he maybe has a little crush on her, but he has empathy for the robots, for Maeve, where a lot of the guests don't. And because he's a tech guy, he's not high up the food chain as far as the company that runs Westworld. But still, it's just sweet how much he respects her. And so he ends up helping her. But there's this scene where he walks Maeve through basically the robot clinic or what have you, or the robot lab. And she gets to see the behind the scenes part of Westworld. And she gets to see basically how contrived, how not real her world is. And the music played is very beautiful, it's very compelling, etc. So kudos to the composer, and then kudos to Tandy Newton giving this great performance as she and the tech guy feeling bad about having to show this, but he just wants her to understand, or I think she insists on seeing it. So they walk through the lab and she sees like a bunch of robots, like, and they're all naked. HBO, weird robot nudity, but they're all naked, and they're like bloodied and all that stuff because the hosts have been mean to them, and they're all waiting, and they're not conscious, but they're all waiting to get cleaned up and fixed up to go back into the park and be back in their loop. I'll edit that out. But to go back in their loops, right, so she sees all that, and she just sees how manufactured her world is, and it's pretty like heartbreaking, and it's a great scene. It's a great scene all around. So I find it like basically the theme of personal freedom very compelling. I'm definitely rooting for the robots, definitely rooting for Dolores and Maeve and Teddy. And Bernard, like it's just the theme of it's very compelling. The premise is pretty interesting. So I just think it's a really great show. Now, also the reason why I really like Maeve, so many reasons why I like her, but the reason I really like Maeve is because so she has this daughter, like a robot daughter, basically. But and that's the other thing I like about Maeve. Like these robots, like she's a robot. She's like, these robots are her family, her people, right? That's why it does remind me of slavery in the United States, where African Americans didn't have agency over their own bodies, and that's during slavery times, or just like the metaphors about a trigger warning, but the metaphor is about rape. Like, again, women or victims losing the ability, losing agency over their own bodies, basically. Like, that's the themes it plays on is pretty interesting. As far as, like, talking about people who are oppressed or victimized by, like, mean people. So, like, that's interesting. It's powerful. That's what makes the show, in my opinion, season 1 so powerful. What was so Maeve, actually, she ends up getting the tech guy, the really cool tech guy named Felix, to help her leave Westworld and go to planet Earth. Get out of Westworld where she can, like, I don't know, get an apartment, get a cool job, and live a happy life where she's not tortured every day by mean people. But also she does have, like, this robot daughter, because all her memories keep coming back, and she wants to, and she loves her daughter. She has emotional attachment to her daughter. So, but she's like, but the tech people are like, well, she's not really your daughter. That's just a line we wrote for you guys. It's not really real. But to her, she's like, but it feels real. The love I feel for her feels real. Yeah, okay. So what I like about Maeve is she actually gets the ability to leave. Like, basically the plan works. Like, and there's this part where the robots all have, like, basically they're like these, like, iPad controllers where the people use them to control the robots. And there's this part where someone says, hey, Maeve, like, according to this controller, like, you're still being controlled. And Maeve grabs the controller and she says, nobody's controlling me. And then she, like, breaks it. And every time I've watched it a couple times, but every time I see that part, I'm like, yes! Yeah, get it, Maeve, get it! So when she does that, it's just really cool. Okay, so but the point, so Maeve comes up with this plan to leave the park, and it totally works. So she gets on a train, and she, what does she do? Oh yeah, she gets on a train, she's on the train, and it's a train that takes her out of Westworld into planet Earth. And I was like it works, and I just think that's so cool. Oh, right. Because she gets the tech guy. I love Maeve. She's so cool. Okay, but she gets the tech guy to make her smarter, and she gets the tech guy to, and he's, I don't know. So basically, she's cool. She's so cool. Okay, so, and the tech guy helps her and makes her smarter and all that stuff. So she gets on the train and she's good to go. She's got freedom. She can leave. And I like that. I was like, yeah, go Maeve. But then, but then what happens is she's on the train and she sees a mother and daughter. She sees a mother and daughter, like, looking at each other, snuggling or whatever. Oh, because some of the guests go to Westworld just to hunt and fish and stuff. And I was like, okay, and just to, like, interact with the artificial intelligence, like, in a friendly way. So not all the guests are evil. Some of the guests are cool. But anyway, so most of them are evil, though. But she sees, like, a mother and a daughter, like, whatever, on the train, if I recall correctly. And it makes her think of her daughter, her robot daughter. And, and by the way, she's in, like, a fabulous dress. Kudos to the costume designers. Okay, so she's on the train. She could leave Westworld forever and she'd be fine. But she sees her daughter and she's like, basically, her relationship with her daughter was real. It's a real thing, and she wants to save her daughter from this horrible world of Westworld. So she gets off the train. And that's when she's like, she gets off the train and stays in Westworld because she's going to go save her daughter. And I think that's a pretty compelling motivation. And it makes Maeve, to me, like the good guy, the hero in season 1. And then, spoiler alert, but the other thing about season 1, what ends up happening is the main honcho guy who is played by Anthony Hopkins. And Anthony Hopkins does a great job, but Anthony Hopkins, like, he's above Bernard, but he realizes, like, they made a mistake. He realizes these robots do have consciousness and we can't do this anymore. So by the end of the season, he has all the robots gain consciousness, but then he has all the robots get like really violent towards the host. Yikes! And so that's when we see season 1. Dolores likes to paint, and she likes to she's sweet, but she goes from that to she ends up you'll see last episode of season 1, she does that. She ends up like shooting Anthony Hopkins in the head, but he like wanted her to, yeah. And then she ends up shooting people in the audience, and so Dolores is no longer going to be painting. Season 2 is going to be a little bit different, and the idea is the robots are now starting a revolution. So I was like, all right, cool. All right. Kind of reminds me of the Civil War. Yeah. So, all right. So season 1's pretty good. I think it's a great show. I think you guys should watch it. Yes. The reasons, and yeah, that's it. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you loved it. I hope you had a great time. If you absolutely loved the video, subscribe to my channel and click the like button and click the bell button and just go bananas, and you can enjoy more awesome videos that I made for you. Okay, now also, if you'd like to experience a really funny, awesome, amazing romantic comedy that's 90 minutes and that makes you like think thoughts and stuff, then mosey on over to my website. The link is down below this video. It's www.juliekerrstudios.com, and that's where you can exclusively experience the awesome, the amazing, the fantastic, the funny romantic comedy that I directed called Geek Loves Punk. Also, if you would like to join my email list, that would be super awesome. If you join my email list, you immediately get free access to a PDF worksheet that I created and designed, and you also get a video that helps you learn how to use that worksheet. So, I grew up in an abusive home as a child. As an adult, I'm doing great. I mean, look at me. Anyway, so what I designed was, I really got into personal development, and because I grew up in an abusive home, I used to deal with a lot of sadness. But now I'm doing quite well. So I created a PDF that gives you the 5 daily tips, 5 daily habits that I do every day to feel good every day, to feel love, joy, and kindness every day. So if you join my email list, you immediately get access to the PDF, the Love, Joy, and Kindness PDF, and the video that accompanies with it, that shows you how to use all the habits in the worksheet. So if you join my email list, you can go to my website to join my email list, or see the link below on how to join my email list. And finally, if you'd like to leave a comment below or ask me any questions you might have about filmmaking, personal development, anything in the world, my favorite color, whatever interests you, I'd be happy to answer any questions or comments you have below. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having the best day, night, week, year ever, and you're awesome. Be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, and be your own best friend. Okay, love y'all, and talk to you later. God bless.